In the space of sound healing, Ashana is one of the premier healing music artists and new age vocalists of our times. She weaves together this incredible soaring angelic vocals and the celestial sound of alchemy crystal singing bowls. I had been listening to Ashana's work without putting together who she was until she reached out to me or her agent reached out to me. And I was like total fangirl moment having this conversation because I have never in my life experienced a meditation when I was in a yoga class that so profoundly shifted things for me. It is a meditation that I go back to. We're going to talk about it. So you're going to hear about me talking about it on this podcast. But her work, her voice, her sound healing is some of the most profound I've ever experienced through my headset. And I was so honored to be able to have this conversation with her. I love sound healing as a treatment modality. It's something that I've discovered recently. It's something that I feel like is just such a beautiful way to allow yourself to just be present without needing to do anything. And I think in this world of like meditation and breath work and all these different practices, yoga, therapy, oftentimes it feels like, oh, it's just more I need to do. And the only thing you need to do in sound healing is to allow the sound to bathe you. She has led more than 20,000 people in 50 countries in her online group meditations. And she is really an expert, and you can hear in our conversation how much she really understands the depth of the healing and how her profound wisdom and intuition guides her work. So I'm so excited for you to listen to this podcast. It's a long one, but I promise you it is worth listening to till the end because I was not only profoundly changed by the information that she shared, but also the way in which she shares it. And you'll understand once you listen. Also, she has an online workshop coming up that starts this week, May 1st. So all of my listeners, there is going to be a code in the show notes for early bird access, even though it's not early bird anymore. But if you listen, click on the link in the show notes and you will be given early bird access. I am seriously considering taking this course because of my love of sound healing as a treatment modality. So I'm hoping that maybe some of you will join me there. I'm not 100% sure I'm taking it yet because I haven't looked exactly at the dates and I want to be available for the live portion of it. But, I will definitely be working with her in the future because she is the real deal. And in a world where so many people are now stepping into sound healing, it really does take a level of proficiency to get to a point where you can deliver the sound healing with the intention that it's intended for. And I believe Ashana does that. So with that, I give you today's episode. I am so excited to get your feedback. I have some of you in mind who I know are going to reach out and be like, I love that. I need to do that work. So please do so. And with that, enjoy today's episode. Welcome, Ashana, to Life, Death, and the Space Between.
Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here with you.
So we already got going before we got going. So I'm going to back up a little bit to how we started, which was my sheer excitement in talking with you today. I am a huge sound healing for me is a fairly new modality, probably in the last like 4 or 5 years where I've gotten really into sound healing for myself personally. But I was saying to you before we got on that I remember the first time I heard Soul Merge, which is a track that has been downloaded over 25 million times on Spotify. And I was in a yoga class and it was Shavasana and I was laying there and Soul Merge came on and I felt completely engulfed and transcended by the experience. And I got up afterwards and I said to the yoga teacher, I said, what was the last track you played? I need that because I need to be able to revisit any other transcendent experiences I've had, and that will get me there. Mm-hmm. So can you there's so many places I want to go, but can you talk a little bit about that experience of that one track? And then we'll kind of dive back into what sound healing is and all of the kind of basics.
Sure. Well, we were talking about the first time that I heard that track. Actually, I recorded that. We recorded all of Jewels of Silence in 2007 with Thomas Barkey, my producer, who I've been working with for, oh my God, now 20 years, and showed no signs of stopping. But what happened is, when I record, I go into this space. It's very much a place where I go deeper and deeper and deeper into the singing, into the sound, and it's with every deepening, there's a bigger, a larger, more expansive connection with my soul, with my team in the etheric, with just the multidimensionality of everything that comes in through my music. And with Jewels of Silence, every track on that's what was happening, as with all my music. And I remember the first time I heard it because, I go into the recording studio, I do all the work with the bowls and the vocals and this, and then I let it go because then Thomas steps in and does his magic and his production magic. And, certain tracks he adds vocals and string pads. And for Jewels of Silence, we worked with these amazing, beautiful musicians from India who came in as well to contribute their mastery. And so it was a few months later, after we were in the studio, he sent me this very first track of Jewels of Silence. And he said, I want you to hear this direction. What do you think? And I remember exactly where I was standing. I remember listening to it, and I just had it. I was standing up, and I had it on the stereo, and I thought, oh my God, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Because it just took me like right into this space. And it was even more beyond than what I had remembered doing. Right. It was just because, when you work in collaboration with another artist, and Thomas isn't just a producer, he is a masterful artist. And when the two of us get together, there is this synergy that is so exquisite. It's like, we must have come in on the soul level and we said, we're going to work together and I'm going to recognize you the minute I see you. And that's exactly what happened, by the way. And so there is this other creation that comes out when the two come together as one. So it's gone on to literally 25 million streams on Spotify. I mean, my music alone has worldwide, something like 115, 120 million streams worldwide. I mean, it's just crazy. So we never anticipated that. When we started to do Jewels of Silence, it was like, well, we're just going to do this little album and we'll give it to your students who come to your workshops. And I was like, okay, that sounds great, right?
Always like that, right?
Yeah, it was like we were clueless. We just kind of, this album came out, we went, holy smokes, what is this? And then we put it out there, and it was very like nothing happened for the longest time. And this is the truth of what happens when you are ahead of your time and you're pioneering. And Thomas and I, we didn't know it, but we were pioneering an entirely new genre of music for sound healing and crystal singing bowls. And we were doing it at a level of artistry that had never been done before. Because up to that point, you just had people that were, loved the bowls, and they would play them, and they would do a little bit of chanting or whatever. And they would do these lovely albums, right? And then, he and I came along, and I've been a musician for 55 years professionally. Thomas has been a musician for 55 years professionally. And we came along and we went, wow, let's take this here.
Right.
Let's turn this into art. And it was like all of the muses converged and said, here are our gifts through you, and I very much felt and continue to feel like a vehicle for those soundings and those songs that come through. And it's a blessing.
Yeah.
Not
And
everybody gets to do that.
no, and it's amazing. So for those of you who are like, what is she talking about? Pause, go listen to Soul Merge and come back, and then you'll understand. But I want to get into, I feel like I have so many things I want to talk to you about. I'm
Oh,
already
well,
like,
here
oh
we
my
are.
God, I hope I don't forget anything. So let's start with kind of you were really a pioneer in this space. Now sound healing is much more common, right? Every yoga studio seems to have some sound healing components to it. But what at the core is sound healing and how exactly does it work? And then we can talk about the different modalities of sound healing as well. Different chants bowls, Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, gongs. I'm curious about all of it.
Well, sound healing has been going on for thousands of years. It's just that in the last 10 or so that Western civilization is waking up to this.
Right, right. Like everything else we may or may not be waking up to.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other story.
Right, right.
But sound healing has been around forever. You know, there is there has been and always has been a deep recognition in every major spiritual teaching. There was a deep understanding and a deep recognition that all of creation is vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So nothing new in sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
And when we shift our vibration at a fundamental level, everything changes. So all our cells in their innate state of perfection are in harmony.
Mm.
And they are in harmony with all of creation, all the planets, all of nature. When our cells are vibrating in harmony, and our mind and our body and our spirit are vibrating in a harmonious sense of attunement to the true oneness that is everything, then there is a balance in all of life, in all of creation. Now, why sound healing has come about in such a big and necessary way right now is because we are so disconnected from
Mm-hmm.
nature at a dramatically profound level right now. It's beyond anything humanity has ever experienced in this go round
Mm-hmm.
of our evolution. We are disconnected from nature. We are disconnected from the earth. We are profoundly disconnected from our bodies. And so we are surrounded in an environment where there's tremendous toxicity on multiple levels. There's toxicity in terms of chemical and environmental poisoning. There is just a plethora of I would say human angst at coping and managing
Mm-hmm.
the challenges of navigating life in this now, in this reality. And so we're finding that in our medicines are not working for us. For many people, their religions are not working for them, their spiritualities, their government, their politics, their relationships, their jobs, their careers. People feel disconnected from divine purpose. I won't even call it divine purpose, soul purpose, that knowingness inside of yourself. Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? I don't feel like I'm fulfilling my, what I came here to do as a human. I hear this all the time from students and clients. And so we go to a very fundamental place. And that is, where can we go to bring ourselves back into a state of harmony? Okay. So sound is one of those very visceral places where we can directly work with vibration. And because it's so innate in us, it's been going on, as I said, sound healing's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. The entire universe is all about vibration. It's all about the movement of energy and how that energy moves in and through the world. Is it a fast vibration? Is it a slow vibration? That speed of the vibration and the quality of that vibration. So from being so disconnected and so toxic, it's like pendulum swung all the way to this end. And now the pendulum has to swing back because we are so out of balance. And listening to sound, experiencing sound, making sound is an absolutely, I think, crucial part of our bringing ourselves back to a state of harmony. When we do it with ourselves, we can then transmit that to everything around us. There is that beautiful quote, the world we create it's not a quote, but the world we create internally then becomes reflected back to us externally. So we really
for the good or the bad.
Exactly, right. exactly. So, and look, this is where we've been, we're living in, worldwide, we're living in a global state of immense transformation and change and challenges and disconnection and divisiveness. And so, many, 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 many of us right now are going, wait, we cannot live like this.
Right.
We must bring ourselves back.
But I think to your point it's a reflection of where, and this is what I keep saying, is where we've gotten internally.
Absolutely.
Which is this disconnection from self, from source, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, nature, whatever it is, divine, soul. But how does then these bowls, you work with singing bowls and your voice, how does just that alone bring us back into vibrational alignment? And what are you looking for when you're playing them or when you're working with someone? Are you specifically able to say, based on how you're hearing the bowls, where things are vibrationally off? Or does it not matter where things are vibrationally off because you play the bowls and things just get into alignment? Did you get it yet? I bet you're wondering what it is. It's my new Discover Your Essence toolkit, which you can get by signing up on my website. It is a free toolkit to help you tap into your essence. I talk a lot about essence on the show, in my course. So many people talk about purpose. Forget about purpose. We're done thinking about purpose. And what we want to think about is, what is the essence of who you are and why you are here, and how you can live from that place. So if you want to get my free essence guide, go to my website, dramyrobbins.com.
Well, let's break down your question first, because there's a lot here. we can talk about, but let's kind of go back to the beginning of your question. It's like, how does sound healing work? Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's a bowl. It could be a bowl, it could be a harp, it could be a drum, it could be a flute. It could be piano.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the sound of your own voice. Okay. So there is a basic physics to this. And before I go into the physics, let's just point out that your cells, as I said at the very, very beginning, your cells innately know what a state of harmony is. Okay, you're born into that kind of innate, where all of the cells are healthy and functioning, and they're responsive. They're talking to each other constantly, and they're constantly receiving information in, processing it, and doing the jobs that they do inside our body and our energy field. Well, if everything is vibration, everything also responds to vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that response to vibration we call entrainment, right? And what happens with entrainment is that the most dominant sound in an environment um, becomes the foundational vibration for everything to shift and move into resonance with it. Right? So this is really important to understand what entrainment is when you want to understand sound healing, because this is the basis, this is the entire basis for sound healing. So let's just say, this is like an example I love to give my students, right? So let's just say you're driving down the road. You've had a beautiful day. You woke up, you listened to Soul Merge, right? You're feeling great. You're getting ready. You're in your car. You're going to your office, and you're listening to, beautiful music, maybe on your player, or you're just humming to yourself. And you stop by, and there's a car right next to you, and they got the windows wide open, and they're playing like really loud, heavy, that kind of music. And it's just pulsing, and it's going into your windows, into your car, and your whole body is going,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you drive, finally the lights change, the car turns, you're going straight, it takes you 10 minutes to shift.
Mm.
You just weren't trained.
Mm.
Okay? That's how quickly entrainment can happen. So even in the dominant of your peaceful quiet, when that sound came in, boom, like gangbusters into your environment, it changed everything. And we are being entrained all day long, 24/7.
As you're
By the sound.
speaking right now, there's a giant siren that I'm noticing.
Yes. Are you paying attention? I just love how the universe works. It's like, this is how it works.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, literally, I wish other people could hear it. It's a fire siren.
Yes, this is how entrainment works.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why sound is so powerful.
Mm.
So when we take a dominant, beautiful sound, like the sound of a crystal singing bowl, like a gorgeous piece of music, a music that has been intentionally created for healing. And intention is a big, 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 big piece of this, right? So when we take that and we put that in our environment, we put on a set of headphones, or we put music, or we're playing it musically, we're doing this ourselves, or we're humming, or we're chanting. We're literally entraining every cell in our body and all of our energy fields, the mental field, the emotional field, the physical, the causal bodies, all of the bodies, the light bodies, the energy bodies. We are literally entraining them to a different vibration. Now, where sound is just so exquisite is because sound travels best, most efficiently, and furthest on water. Okay, that's how
Mm-hmm.
the whales and the dolphins can communicate 250 miles apart from each other, because
Mm-hmm.
the sound of their voices that they are making is literally just passing right through the water. Whereas in air, the sound only travels about 5 miles.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've experienced that where we've been snorkeling and the the people we've been with have been like, do you hear the whales? They're nowhere near here, but you can hear them. It's
But you can
amazing.
hear them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So your body's 73% water. So when we play sound, when we're playing the sound of a crystal singing bowl or the sound of a harp or the sound of my voice is entraining you right now. Okay? So, and I'm conscious of that because I've been working with sound for so many years. I'm conscious of the sound of my voice and what it is doing to help entrain. And what am I wanting to entrain that's with this sound and frequency is peace, expansion, awakening, healing, comfort, joy, possibility, right? Wisdom. These are all the things that I'm holding inside of myself as we are having this conversation. So, but when we work with crystalline sound specifically, other magical things are happening inside of that entrainment because the properties of quartz crystal are to expand and amplify energy, to transmit energy, to store and contain energy, to absorb energy, and to transduce or transform energy, right? And so when you apply intention to that sound, when playing a bowl, playing and singing with a bowl, as I do, or any of the other things that we do with these beautiful crystal singing bowls, and those vibrations, those frequencies that are carried on the sound, that crystalline sound matrix, literally is going into every cell of your body on the water. And it is doing all of those wonderful things. And the cells respond by going, oh, I'm relaxing. I'm letting go of the tension. I'm realigning. I'm being given the opportunity to shift and move back into my innate state of harmony. And so as one cell begins that process of deep relaxation, of deep nourishment, then it transmits because all the cells talk to each other in your body. Then it just starts going through the entire organism. And when we rinse and repeat this process over and over and over and over again, we literally are entraining our bodies to a new state of being through sound. And that's the kind of tip of the iceberg way that it works.
And what does it have the capacity to heal?
Well, it's not about the sound healing per se, right? I cannot, let me just be more specific. In science right now, we are finding, they are finding, those who are working in this area, and just like I think Rigel Reif, I think it was Rigel was his first name, Reif, was doing many, many years ago, that there are specific frequencies that can be applied to specific conditions or distortions in the harmony in the organism, right? And so you can take, like, I'm pulling a number out of my hat because this is not my area of expertise, but let's just say I picked the frequency 4,272.3. Okay. And I apply that. And this is the frequency that does this, specifically this, right? Now, we don't work. Most, I would have to say, 99% of sound healers do not work with that level of specificity. Okay? We can't. And historically, as musicians, we didn't. You should remember the sound healers for millennia were the musicians.
Right.
The healers, in fact, and the physicians were considered the musicians. Back in Greece, musicians were the healers.
Mm-hmm.
They were the physicians. So when people were going through a difficult experience, they would holistically apply herbal remedies and formulas and tinctures and this, and they would specifically say, you need to go out and listen to this, this particular song, this particular, artist or musician playing his or her lyre, stringed instrument, or listening to them sing or chant something. And they would spend, an afternoon or an evening just absorbed in music. Okay. And then they would come back. And what happens to the body is, particularly, I think, with healing music that has been created specifically with the intention for healing, that what happens then is that the body begins to relax. We go into that relaxation response. And this is the key. We apply intention. We have instruments that are specifically used in healing applications, like crystal singing bowls are, or therapy harps, or particular kinds of drumming, or particular kinds of flute playing, or mantras, or vocal sound. These are applied then to a healing experience. And so inside that healing experience, when we are receiving or being in an environment where that sound is being played, those sounds are being played, the body relaxes, respiration slows down, the sympathetic nervous system begins to rest and reset itself.
Mm-hmm.
Your circulation begins to improve. Because you're breathing and your respiration is slowing down, everything else in the organism begins to slow down and move into that state of rest and deeper rest. And more often than not, during sound baths that are well constructed, and that's important. Mm-hmm. Right? There are sound baths that are not so well constructed. So you really want to go to sound baths that are done by people who really understand what they're doing and who can create an environment of safety and peace. And I would have to add musical sensitivity. Okay, makes a huge difference, and how people play. And healing intention. So when you get to these environments, your breathing, as I said, your breathing changes, circulation changes, you go into these states of deep, deep, deep relaxation. And more often than not, you fall asleep because we are chronically sleep deprived. Everybody in the United States right now is probably chronically sleep deprived based on what's going on right now. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. It's a crazy place. So, where people are concerned, they're worried, they're anxious, they're afraid, they're grieving, they're challenged, they're this. And what do they need? They need rest. We don't even understand rest right now.
Right, for sure.
We do not understand rest. So we go and we have these experiences, and what happens? We rest. We rest. And when we rest, the mind begins to quiet down. Like everything, all that that's going on constantly in our heads just starts to go like this.
Right. And then your whole system down regulates, right? Exactly. I mean, that's what you're talking about.
And when it down regulates, you heal. Right. You create the environment where healing can actually occur.
Well, and that's what I think for me personally, what I have so really relished in with sound healing is that historically I'm such like a doer and a therapist and I'm a processor. And it's like, I'm tired of thinking so much about it all. And that when I go to my sound healings, I can literally just allow myself to let go and be. Exactly. And that trust that the sound will do the work and I don't have to do anything. except just be present to what's I'm experiencing.
Which might be that you go to sleep.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it could be that simple. You know, and beyond that, there are many, many other things that come out of that experience, which you already alluded to about the experience of moving into transcendent states of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That being able to now your mind, your busy mind, your beta mind is not interfering with your ability to connect with your multidimensional self. So, what happens during these experiences? For some people, right? You know, you might connect to people who passed on to the other side. You may receive messages from your soul. You may have extraordinary out of body experiences. You may have, I have had so many people have physical experiences where they've let go of blockages in the body. That all chronic pain goes away, migraines go away, worries and concerns and answers to problems that they've been struggling with for the longest time, a sense of expanded self and ideas, visions, new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
dreams awaken. It's just a plethora. I literally have had, even recently, student get up out of the wheelchair and walk. Okay. I'm
And
not.
that stays, like they don't go back to the wheelchair.
Yeah, that has happened.
I'm
It's happened
I
twice that I know of where people have
that's
actually told me this. Okay. So you just kind of go, okay. You
right.
know, and am I thinking about that when I am playing? Absolutely not. Right.
Mm,
When I'm working in a group or I'm
right.
doing a big concert for somebody. And when I'm working one on one with somebody, it's about sending the sound and seeing the wholeness of that person. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Allowing the energy to run and flow so that energy moves into a state of coherence for that being.
Mm.
All right. I am not thinking specifically, we're going to get all these cells going, blah, blah, blah,
Right. Or your dead loved one is going to come or whatever. It's just
correct,
whatever happens. Yeah.
correct.
I mean, I've had almost every single experience you've talked about. And I
Mhm.
think the last time I did a sound healing, I did it by myself. I did breath work into sound healing.
Mhm.
And it took me probably about 30 minutes afterwards to get the energy that had gotten so expanded slowly back into my body. Like I
Mhm.
felt I was so expanded and I kept saying, I feel like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like it was just the vibrational frequency of
Yeah,
my energy field was so huge.
yeah,
It was just the most incredible feeling and experience to have. And
yeah,
that's why I've loved it again so much, is because it's something that I allow. And I think for me, it's funny. I was at the chiropractor a couple weeks ago and she said to me, you don't have to help me. Like just, yeah. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh no, she figured me out. Like,
Yeah,
and just that her saying that she got to the core of so much of who I am as and how I've defined myself as someone who helps others. But that sound healing really allows me just to and this is why I think I experienced soul merge so profoundly, was it just allowed me to lean back into myself and
yeah,
be held.
yeah,
And for me, that's why the sound has been so healing. It's like I've allowed myself to be held by it
yeah,
in a
yeah,
really profound way.
yeah.
So, okay. So we've got crystal bowls, which are one form, and you've talked about gongs and flutes and harps. And what's the difference? You talk about this in the book between Tibetan and crystal bowls. Like if people are wondering or using them, and also like tuning forks. I know people use in healing. How do all those different things kind of fit together, or how are they separate?
There, it's like, do you love fruit?
Yes.
What's your favorite?
Depends on the season.
Exactly.
And how can I pick sometimes?
Exactly.
Okay. That's a great answer.
I love Tibetan bowls. I am not a Tibetan bowl artist. I have about 5 of them in my collection. I play one of them often, because the other ones were given to me, and they weren't, they weren't like,
Mm-hmm.
but the one that I really got for myself was like, oh, I love that bowl.
Mm.
And it's actually on my new album coming out. We put it on there, just kind of hear it in one spot. But they're not my mastery. They have a completely different feeling than crystal singing bowls. However, those people who have the mastery for Tibetan bowls, they are amazing. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
When I get the chance to go and lie down and have somebody who is a master of Tibetan bowls play on me, for me, to be part of that experience, it is grounding, it is peaceful, it's very earth oriented, right?
Mm-hmm.
It really it takes me into the slowness, the steadiness, and the security of the earth.
Mm.
Right? Those Tibetan bowls do that, right? Harps, I have 8 harps that I play. I love them. They are probably my go-to instrument besides bowls. And when I put them together, to me, it's ecstasy, right? They are heart energy.
Mm.
Harps are just, they rest, they're wood, they're warm, wood and metal string, and they allow, as an artist, they allow me to play rhythmically, which I
Mm-hmm.
love, which I cannot do with the bowls. Um, and so there is this, beauty of playing both these beautiful waves of sound with the harp, and then the picking to create rhythmic sound with it. And for me, harps are all about the heart. And then there are flutes, and this is all about the breath. Okay. So we hear
Mm-hmm.
extended sounds that can take us, and it's almost like the human voice. Flutes and the voice are very, very close. They're very, very similar to playing. It's not an instrument I play, but they are instrumentalists that I work with often when I am doing my music. So flutes giving us the connection to the breath. That breath is our life force, right? So we're connecting with the breath. Then when we look at percussion, we look at drums, we look at, koji chimes, where, anything with drumming really brings us into our bodies. It's all about grounding, and we need that. We need to come out of the head down into the body, so that our job here is to manifest the
Mm-hmm.
light that we are. And as you've just described so eloquently, when you had this crystal bowl sound and you went into this expansive, expansive, expansive state, it took you half an hour to come back.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come back.
Right.
Okay. And so we're
Despite my better wishes at that moment, which was
in
like,
that moment, but
yeah.
we are this and we are this.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here to be light in a body, not
Yes.
out of the body. And the
Yes.
crystal bowls are amazing for giving us this opportunity to feel this expanded state, to connect with our crystalline light form, to connect with our light body, to connect on that level of very refined light, sound, vibrational frequency. We need that. So for me, it is the combination of instruments that is so compelling, because any one thing is wonderful, but when we put all of the ice cream flavors together, and then we add the sprinkles and the chocolate sauce,
Yeah, like my fruit salad last week that I made was really good. It was all mixed fruit. Like you had to scoop in and get all of it. And then this week I made a fruit platter, which kept everything separate. And it was very intentional. I was like,
yes,
different experiences, right? Like
exactly.
you can get it all. And some people love to have all of it and some people like it separate.
Yes, exactly. I mean, and I've been around bowls since the get-go, because for me, the most powerful healing instrument is the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Bar none. Bar none. And I believe you me, I have 125 crystal singing bowls in my room and 8 harps and God knows how many drums. And this, number one, the most powerful healing modality for anyone is the sound of your own voice. Period. The end.
Listening to it or speaking? Like which?
Using your voice to create sound.
Whatever that looks like.
Whatever that looks like. And when we are chanting or toning or creating healing sound, and when I say healing sound, I don't necessarily mean pretty sound. Okay? The most, when a loved one dies, grieving comes through the sound of our voice. That has been true for eons. It is the allowing of the keening and the groaning and the moaning and the sighing and the crying, the screaming that actually allows the energy to move, because in a healthy organism, energy is consistently moving. And when you look at our culture as a culture, we are inhibited for the most part culturally we are inhibited in our free flowing expression of sound to convey and express what we want, what we need, and how we feel.
And sometimes some sounds are favored, right? You can express in this way, but not in this way.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying we all go out and we barf all over everybody that we meet.
Right.
That's not helpful.
No.
It's absolutely not helpful, but we can, if we have that understanding and our awareness, we can do that in healthy ways in our own personal environments, and
not be scared of those sounds. Like it's just what I've discovered about myself after a couple of psychedelic treatments and breath work is I'm a screamer. Like, and it's at first it scared the shit out of me that I was like, oh my God, what does this mean? And what is it, my thinking brain. And then I was just like, that's just how I release energy. Like I knew I was a crier, but I never thought I was a screamer. And now I'm just like, like when it comes up, I'm just like, all right, here it comes. Like just allow for it to move through, kind of like puke. And it just like comes up and out and then it's gone. And it's amazing.
Yes.
Cause it has different vibrations, like different tones. And I can tell like as it's coming, and this is probably sounding like crazy to people who are listening, but I'm sure not to you.
No, not to me.
As it's coming, I'm like, oh, this is going to sound like X. This is going to sound like Y. And it's because it feels like the intensity inside of me feels different as it's coming out.
Yes. And so all you're doing is you're just moving energy. You're moving energy through vibratory sound. That's it. And if we can just take the stigma off of vocalization, right? And that's what, people are so afraid, especially women. Oh my God, especially women are afraid and in some ways almost paralyzed about
Mm-hmm.
making the sound of how they feel. And it's gotten to the point, well, it's certainly been at that point for quite a long time in our culture and in many cultures in the world. We've gotten to the point where we don't even make the sounds, we don't even speak,
Right.
we
Right.
don't we don't even share, we don't feel safe to share how we feel, we don't feel
Mm-hmm.
safe to share what we need. Okay.
Right. To use our voice in any way.
And so this energy here in the throat chakra is just shut down. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is why I say the most powerful, powerful, powerful healing modality that every single one of us has available to us all the time, any given moment, is right here.
Mm.
God got us all that, is built this beautiful organism in the most exquisite way, said, no worry, we're giving it to you.
Right. Right.
It's free.
Right. Just use it. Just
Use
use
it.
it.
Right?
Right.
And so we have to learn it. We learn about our voice. I mean, my God, I've been a singer for, oh my goodness, I wanted to sing since like I'm 2 or 3 years old. I can remember, just let
Mm.
me sing, let me sing. And the whole path of using my voice has been extraordinary and continues to be. I'm continuing to learn what the real authentic sound of my own voice is. It has not stopped.
Mm.
Sometimes the other day, I was like last week, I was lying in the floor in this room and I was just sounding and singing. And the thought occurred to me while I was doing this, like, oh my God, I could just do this forever.
Hmm.
Just this, it was like a way of retuning my entire body
Mm.
just with the sound of my own voice. And it's a
So,
blessing.
so with the singing bowls, would one like me just buy a bowl and start playing? Does it require, like, what is it required to be able to learn? Is it something that people learn to do? And then, I mean, it seems like it takes quite some time to really master what you're doing. How much of it is like learning versus intuiting? Like, this is what I'm feeling, so I'm going to play this bowl or that bowl. I mean, I know with you, obviously, it's probably just, at this point. But for a newbie, what would that look like?
Well, first of all, the crystal singing bowls, as I tell all my students, right, they are simple to play, but not necessarily easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so they are, as well as being instruments for vibrational healing and meditation, you know, um, they are musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the blessing is that they're not hard to learn to
Mm-hmm.
play. I could sit you down in half an hour and have you playing, and that would not be a problem. But to have you playing at a level where you're literally going to transform people's lives
Mm-hmm.
every time you show up, that's going to take some training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's okay that it takes training.
Right. Everything that's,
That's
I'll
okay.
never forget when my supervisor once said, like, it takes about 10 to 12 years to actually feel like you have your footing as a therapist.
I love that.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And now I'm almost 20 years in. And sometimes I feel like I know less now than I did, you know, 20
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I feel that way around the bowls and music and and I've been doing it for 50 years,
Mm-hmm.
When people say to me, oh, but you're a master. I remember when the first time people started calling me a master of crystal singing bowls, and I went, are you kidding?
Mm.
I was like, are you kidding me? Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously? And the problem, I think, uh, not problem, but I use that word problem, where I disagree with this, okay? There is a blithe usage of the word master now
Mm.
in all fields. Oh, she's a
Mm-hmm.
master. He's a master. This is a master. So and so is a master. Blah 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 is a master. And you look at that and you just go, wow. For me, mastery is lifelong,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Lifelong.
Yeah.
I look at somebody like the master musicians that I know, and they are constantly learning. They have
Right.
not stopped.
Mm-mm.
And they're just getting more and more and more and more juicy the older they get, because as we develop our technical skill and we develop our artistry and we develop our intuitive understanding, because you got to remember you're growing exponentially.
Right. And
Okay.
you have more to integrate.
Exactly. So you're growing exponentially, you're integrating, then you're expanding, you're growing and so you get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you as a healer, as a musician, as an artist, you're growing as a person, and your wisdom is developing. Your
Mm-hmm.
life experience is all adding into this. Like, I love Yo-Yo Ma. I always talk about Yo-Yo Ma because he's one of my musical heroes. And and I think about him at the age of 19 playing the cello. And of course it was brilliant, right? And then I think of him at the age of 65 playing the cello. And man, I know when I want to hear Yo-Yo Ma.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear him at 65. I want to hear him
Mm-hmm.
at 70. I want to hear him at 80, because the heart coming through
Mm.
this human with this bodhisattva like compassion that is just emanating from every note. He literally could play Mary Had a Little Lamb and we would all be like sobbing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know?
Because he's so clear in his intention behind.
Oh, everything,
Yeah.
intention and presence and musical artistry and
Right. It's like it's
wisdom.
coming through him. It's not, it's not by him. It's like of him.
Yes. And so that takes time. So when
Mm-hmm.
you ask me about the bowls, it's like, well, yes. And you start. And are you going to be able to get the sound out? Yes, you are. And am I going to be able to help you? Yes, I am. And if I take you and you work with me for 6 months to a year, are you going to come out the other side a completely different human? Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your relationship with the bowls and how you play the bowls and what your experience is of them and how you share them with others is just going to be beautifully honed and shaped and emerging out of your practice, out of your willingness to grow, out of your introspection, out of the knowledge that you gain and the experience that you gain as it begins to turn into, over the years, into wisdom. But all my students start where you are, every
Mm-hmm.
single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so many come to me and say, I'm not a musician, I don't know how to play, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's not important, because you're
Mm-hmm.
going to learn the things that you need to learn in order to play really well. And then you're going to integrate that sound with the other things that are, part of your life, and those aspects of your life that are your brilliance. And, for somebody like you, I would love to teach you how to play, because I know it's going to change your therapy practice. I'm
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'd say come to my retreat in
Yeah.
August.
Oh my God. Believe me. I'm like, I was going through this. I was like, uh-oh.
Come,
This could
you won't
spell
have
trouble for me. And I read a lot about different spiritual practices. And so I'm like, some things really speak to me and others don't speak to me as much. I think there's value in them. They just don't resonate with me. And I was looking through this and I was like, oh no, this could be like that little pull where you start to get that inkling of like, oh, is this the next kind of step? Yeah. But I have another question. Is listening to them through like your iPhone or, YouTube, what is the difference in the experience versus being with them live?
Well, you tell me about Soul Merge.
I mean, that one's amazing, but I can only imagine the level that I would get to if I heard that live.
You'll never hear that live.
Because there's so many different...
You will never hear that live. You will never hear that live. That is a work of art. Mm. Every recording that we make for us, for Thomas and me, is a work of art. Mm-hmm. And then it is crafted and created in such a controlled environment that we hone every brush stroke of sound. Mm. And then it's mastered and it is offered so that I have so many people that have so many healings listening to all my music. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. I mean, I've got people listening to, we just released Expansion into Light and Cosmic Grace. We're just about to get releasing a new album starting to come out in a couple months. And every song, the people that have listened to the new album just go, oh my God, Ashana, what have you done? Okay. Can I go back and recreate that in that moment? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. Because we're creating a work of art. Now, in a live performance, you're going to have a completely different experience. And that experience is going to be affected, impacted, co-created by the energy of the audience. Mm-hmm. And everybody that's there. And whatever's happening inside of me and all the other musicians while we're there. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's going to be its own work of art. Mm-hmm. And then
never to be replicated because it's
never to be replicated again. Ever. People come back and say, oh my God, I heard her sing it such and such. And she said, wow, it didn't sound like that, Ashana. It wasn't like I remembered. Of course. How could it ever be? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm.
Well, and what I'm always so fascinated by, and sometimes when I'm in my own thoughts in a sound healing, is are other people do they still hear this? Is she still playing it at the same level? Is the way, I don't know how to articulate this, but is it still playing or is it just playing for me? I guess is the best way I can say it. Does that make sense?
It's still playing and it's playing for you.
Right. I mean, it's such a magical.
Yeah. It's still experience. Playing and it's playing for you. Mm-hmm. Because your body, mind, spirit, whatever it is in that moment is in deep resonance with the experience. And you're going to go to another sound healing one other day and you're going to go, meh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been to a lot where I'm like, meh.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. What did that do for you? Not much. Right. Right. Was that the problem with the player? Sometimes. Mm-hmm. Is that the problem? Not even a problem. Let me take that word out of my vocabulary. Mm-hmm. Is that because of the expertise of the player, or the player wasn't connected in that moment? Mm-hmm. Totally possible.
Right.
Okay. Or that's just where you were.
Right.
And where you were and where the player was not connecting. Believe you me, I tell my students this all the time. I said, you're going to have these moments. And how do I know? Because I've been there, done that, right? You're going to have these moments where you're going to be playing and you're going to be in this transcendent state. And then somebody's going to get up, walk out. You hear the door slamming.
Right. And you're going to be like, oh no.
Like, what have I done? Right? And your
Right.
mind's like going, oh my God, what was that? What did I do? What did I make a mistake? And then God bless me. They come back to you if I'm at a retreat or something, or teaching at a retreat or something, and they come back to you. You'll see the person, somebody, stranger, comes up to you the next morning and says, I'm so sorry I had to leave, Ashana, but I had to go to the bathroom.
Right. Right. And you've internalized that you was something you've done.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, I've learned my lesson in that so many times in therapy, because here, it's like the thing you think is the best, most amazing intervention that I've ever given. And like 3 weeks later, the person will come back and they'll be like, 3 weeks ago when you said, and I'm always like, oh no, what did I say? And it's like the most obscure thing that I said in the course of like, I thought it was this that was going to profoundly change their life. And it wasn't that. It was like this one little offhanded comment that I wasn't even going to make. And that was the thing that like shifted everything for them. So you're just like, all right, I'm not going to allow myself to get attached to me doing this a certain way is going to result in a certain outcome for each person. It's like, they're going to take from it what they need when they experience it.
Exactly. So am I playing for you? Yes. Am I playing for everybody else? Yes. Is it coming in? Yes. Am I going to be navigating whatever's going on in my own mind at the moment? Yes. Is sometimes it going to flow for everybody? Yes. Sometimes it's not going to flow for everybody? Yes. It's just, we show up, we hold an intention, we do the best we can, and we just offer from our hearts, right?
Well, Ashana, this has been amazing. I have a feeling there's going to be, like, I'm contemplating in my head, like, do I do a group retreat that my whole listening community, we all come to you meet? Because wouldn't that be so fun? Because I feel like I know my community, and I know people are going to reach out after this podcast because they're going to be like, how do I do this? So can you tell them how they do it? And then we'll talk offline about how we might do it collaboratively. But if people are interested in your work, first of all, listen to Soul Merge, lay down, or actually do it however you want, but like just listen to it because it will transcend you. There's no resisting it. It's just that kind of music. And so start there. But then if they want to learn more, where can they learn more about your work, what you're doing, your offerings, all of it?
Well, there's many ways to do that, and there's a couple of things I do want to mention because I'm super excited about them. One is in August 5th through 10th at the Mago Retreat Center in Sedona, Arizona. We are offering Crystal Ball Mastery Level 1 Foundations for 6 days with me and my team, my husband, James Kwainui, Native Hawaiian healer, and we do this retreat together once a year. It is wonderful. So you don't need any education in crystal singing bowls. And if you have education in crystal singing bowls, I have many, many professionals that come, people that are professional sound healers that work with me that come to this retreat and they go, oh my God, I just learned, I undid how I was doing things, and now I've relearned them, and oh my God, everything's gone to the next level. So lots of time for, it's a beautiful retreat center, 480 acres or something like that 150 acres and of land in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. And it's just spectacular. I don't know. We've got all kinds of information. We'll give you guys the link. And the next thing is we do celestial alignment for healing twice a year. We are offering that starting May 1st for our first one. That is 8 weeks of deep dive sound healing online with me. People have literally miraculous things happen to them during these 8 weeks. So if you're struggling with any kind of chronic condition, whether it's depression or you just want to be more connected soul purpose, through if you're struggling with a particular kind of illness or situation, grief, whatever it is. This is an amazing course to take. There's live meditations every week and all kinds of recorded music that you'll be working with on a daily basis. You will see a big transformation over 8 weeks. And sound, all your streaming platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple Music, everywhere else. You can find new album coming out in May. Just released a new single last month called Expansion into Light. Check it out, soundofashana.com, and come and join our family. We would love to have you. And I would love to help you find your crystal singing bowls too. So reach out.
Thank you so much. This was incredible. I'm going to get this aired soon so people can be ready for hopefully before May 1st. I'm going to bump you up in the lineup here. Thank you so much. This was just absolutely enlightening, incredible. I'm going to be listening to more of your music, even though I was listening to it before and didn't even realize, didn't put the two and two together. So thank you so much for just the light that you're bringing into this world. It's really, really powerful.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Like what you heard today and want to hear more? Wondering what comes next and what it all means? Head over to Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere you get your podcasts and hit subscribe. Also, if you could take a minute to rate and review my podcast, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned as we continue to explore life, death, and the space between.